The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Idaho Falls Fire Department, Idaho, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34897. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting down at the front bumper, you'll find dual air horns on the bumper face. Moving over to the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren. As we move up onto the bumper extension, you'll find 2 warning placards on the passenger and driver's side. Moving up onto the face of the cab, you'll find on the outer edge a marker turn indicator. Just inside of that location, you'll find the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Directly in the center, you'll find your mechanical siren in the grille area. And moving up above the headlight structure are your emergency warning lights. There are also grab handles located on the front for gaining access to the windshield area, windshield wipers, and on the outer edge, you'll find your mirror housing a convex and flat mirror. As we move up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find an angled mirror downward facing. Moving to the brow, you'll find your running lights. Directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. And as we move up onto the roof of the vehicle, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's go ahead and take a look at the side of the vehicle. This is the driver's side. We'll focus in now on the cab area. Let's start first with the front axle, where you'll find a sight gauge located in the center, Alcoa wheels, and Goodyear tires. As we move to the front bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up onto the A-pillar is where you'll find your turn indicator marker light. And as we move to the doors, you'll find paddle latches to gain access into the crew space. And right next to those paddle latches, you'll find grab handles, which do have an LED light in the rear section. Let's move to the very rear of the apparatus, where you'll find your LED water tank level indicator. And as we move upward, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Let's take a look at some close-ups. We'll go inside the cab area. Let's first start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, you'll find all of our safety and warning information placards. As we move upward from this location, you'll find the door latch and lock. And then moving just to the side of that, you'll find window control and then automatic door locks. There is also a grab handle on the door handle. Let's go ahead and move downward from this location to the step well, where you'll find your shoreline inlet. This is an auto eject 20 amp plug. And as we move to the right, you'll find the air shutoff and also air inlet outlet. As we move to about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find this placard, manufactured for your department. This has the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, and all of its fluid capacities for each component and fluid type. Let's move to the floorboard. On the left-hand side, you'll find your mechanical siren. As we move to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find the master battery switch. You'll also find 2 switches on the left-hand side. These are your regen inhibit and DPF regen switches. Moving to the right, you'll find an ABS diagnostic switch and also engine diagnostic switch. Just to the right, you'll find the engine transmission ABS diagnostic port. It's for your service maintenance team, and also a display and tech module port. Let's move from this location up to the steering column. On the right side is where you'll find your differential lock. As we move to the dash on the left, you'll find your hazard start and ignition switch. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage and disengage all emergency lights. Just to the right, you'll find your headlight switch and also a switch labeled panel, which allows you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. On the opposite side of the column, you'll find your OK to engage the high idle indicator. Moving up to the dash, you'll find your transmission oil, DEF level, and water temperature gauges. On the right, you'll find your front air, rear air, volts, and fuel level. Located in the center, you're going to find your tachometer and speedometer. Above and below the speedometer, you'll find diagnostic engine information. Let's move just to the right of this location, where you'll find your dash.
Not pictured in this image is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It is the yellow diamond. You also have your backup speaker and volume control. Moving to the right, your Pierce command zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see the owner's manual for more information. A push button Allison transmission pad. As we move further to the right, you'll find your pump shift, which we'll go over in just a moment. Let's go ahead and look at the pump shift module. This is in the upper right hand corner of the dash, and there are instructions here from road to pump and also instructions from pump to road. When utilizing the pump shift, it's important to remember you need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump illuminating before exiting the cab for pump operations. As we move down, we have an informational note here, pump in drive in yellow, and then also we have an engine brake on and off switch, settings for your engine brake, low, medium, and high, retarder on, retarder auto apply, front wheel lock, and mirror heat. You'll also find some instructions here regarding caution and warning when the use of the retarder. Let's move down till you'll find the mirror control for left and right mirror. As we move back to the dash area, we'll start back up at the top with the aerial master, aerial PTO, stabilizer camera, generator PTO, and siren brake. Moving down, you'll find window controls, also pump compartment diesel heater, and backup alarm. You'll also find your climate control for heat and defrost and air conditioning. Let's move from this location, general view here of the top of the engine cowling. We'll move back up to the upper left-hand side with this yellow placard. This is an informational placard providing you the height of your vehicle, 10 feet 9.25 inches, length 43 feet 3.5 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating 78,000 pounds. You'll also find emergency master, roof light, front warning light, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these switches have been engaged, they will illuminate green, indicating that they are active. Let's move just to the right of this location. We'll find an additional set of switches, high beam flash, opticom, air horn, and load manager. Moving further to the right, front scene lights, driver's side cab scene, driver's scene, passenger side cab scene, passenger scene, and rear scene. Once again, as you can see, when a light has been activated through the switch, the light will illuminate green, indicating that it is on. Let's move further to the right where you'll find your code 3 PA and electronic siren. In the very center, you'll find this light illuminating, indicating do not move your apparatus. When the light is on, it's indicating you have a compartment or door open. As we move directly behind the seat, you'll find when plugged into shore power, this will become active, which is your battery charger, and also your air compressor. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the things we talked about. We'll move to the very rear of the apparatus, starting first with the door panel. All of our information located on the door panel. As we move inside, you'll find shore power outlets directly behind the seated area. You'll also find netting and adjustable shelving, and also at the very top section, you'll find your compartment light, and then also outlets inside the area, which will operate when plugged into shore power or when the generator is operational. Let's move to the exterior. On the rear wall of the cab, you'll find shoreline and generated power outlets. Let's move to the pump panel area. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner of the pump panel with the 2 crosslays that are located here. Crosslay number 1 and crosslay number 2. In between the 2 of those crosslays, you'll find a warning regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from a loft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Let's move just to the right of this location where you'll find your throttle pressure governor. Just beneath this area, you'll find a warning information regarding a green light, and that should be utilized if you are engaged properly from the cab. You'll receive this green light indicating it's okay to engage the throttle. Also, just below that, you'll find an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen the sound or brighten the sound. In the gray module, you'll find your master intake gauge. On the right, you'll find your master discharge gauge. In between the 2 of those, you'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. Let's move down onto the pump panel area where you'll find your aerial discharge. As we move just to the right of this location, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. Beneath the tank fill is where you'll find your tank to pump. Let's move all the way to the left in this image where you'll find your engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then just to the right, we do have a warning here regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Let's move downward and then to the left on the pump panel from this image where you'll find all of our crosslay and also discharges color-coded and labeled. As we move to the right, you'll find once again that twist engine cooler. As we move downward, you'll find your pump primer. It is a push-to-prime air pump, and there are instructions for 1,000 RPMs for best practices. There are two 2.5 discharges located on the driver's side of the pump panel. And down at the very bottom, you'll find the wattress placard indicating the type and transmission of pump that you have. Also moving to the right, you'll find this danger placard. Because of this being an aerial device, there is the possibility of electrocution due to wires. As we move further to the right, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we'll go over in just a moment, and also the Pierce American Flag Eagle logo. This is your large diameter pump intake. As we move to the right, it's important regarding a warning here, fall, always face the vehicle when climbing onto it. Let's move down to the bottom. Only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after they received proper training. This is the minimum operation maintenance schedule placard for your test pressures at 150, 200, and 250 psi. As we move to the right, you'll find your auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch ball valve female coupling. Moving to the right, you'll find your manual pump shift, and then just beneath the manual pump shift is the pump drain. Let's move to the vertical wall of the pump area, where you'll find at the very top a gauge heater. This is automatic and it's thermostatically controlled. It will give an indication that it's on. Beneath that, you'll find your water level indicator. It's the blue module. And as we move to the right, I would like to call out the pump OK indicator. Once again, if you've properly engaged your pump, this light will illuminate, indicating your pump is engaged. You'll also find scene lights and PTO, air horn, and also a spare switch. Let's go back to the wattress. This is a 1,750 GPM pump. As we move to the minimum immersion operation maintenance schedule, this is for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left, the associated GPM at test pressure, and on the right, you'll find the associated RPM at that test pressure, with the job number in the upper left-hand corner, 34897. Let's go ahead and move to the body of the apparatus. We'll identify a few things. First, before we get started, this is a ladder in this area, so we do have a warning label. Always face the ladder when climbing on it. You'll also find the lift and turn latches will gain access in this pan door. This is where you're going to find all of your emergency overrides and also stabilizer control overrides. On the side of the door panel, you will find additional information calling out the specific knob and also function. Let's move to the next compartment back. First, in this area, we'll find at the very top, this is where your outrigger comes out, and this is the outrigger camera for your stabilizers. We do have a warning regarding crush hazard because of the movement of that stabilizer. There's the possibility of crush, and also on the stabilizer, you'll find an emergency warning light. Let's move from this location all the way to the very back. We'll start looking into some of the compartments, LED lighting, also an adjustable shelving. This compartment happens to have pegboard. As we move just in front of the rear axle, you'll find your 8.0 US gallons DEF tank. It is the blue cap. As we move toward the compartments directly over the axle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 3 in between the axles and for 2 located after the axles. You'll also find a common door which houses the ultra low sulfur diesel, which is the silver cap. As we move to the upper compartment, you find on the rear wall you have additional pegboard. As we move to the rear of the axle, you'll find wheel chock storage for your folding wheel chocks, also an adjustable shelf in the upper portion, and a pull-out tray with also a vertical divider. As we move to the stabilizer in the rear, you'll find this warning label regarding crush hazard and also an emergency warning light. We're to the very rear compartment now. Once again, adjustable shelves and LED lighting. As we move around to the rear of the apparatus, you can see the 2 ladders in the deployed position for gaining access to the upper section. We do have a warning regarding fall. Always face the ladder while climbing on it. I would like to point out this danger information placard regarding electrocution hazard. Because of the aerial device, there is the possibility of electrocution when utilizing it near wires. Moving to the right, you will find your fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle. Inside the pan doors at the rear, you'll find an emergency stop, override, and stabilizer enable. Those are the 2 upper portion. You'll also find the control module for deploying your stabilizers down in the lower section, in addition with a stabilizer indicator for front to rear for the inclinometer of your vehicle. As we move to the side of the door, you'll find this warning label, aerial stability hazard. Before operating the aerial device, set up on firm surfaces only, place pads beneath each stabilizer jack, and fully extend the stabilizer. As we move to the rear also of the vehicle, you'll find this attachment point. This is utilized for direct pull as an anchor. You'll also find a left to right inclinometer down on the driver's side, lower portion near the turn indicator. As we move further down to the rear of the apparatus, you'll find this drop-down door for gaining access to the ladders, and then also underneath at the very bottom section of this compartment is your generator. As we move to the upper right-hand side of the image, you're going to find the chute for your hose and also a warning regarding entanglement hazard because of that hose coming from aloft. As we move downward, you'll find shoreline outlet at the very bottom section and also generated power. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the things in the aerial device. You'll find your master stream device in the center. On the outer edges, you'll find two discharges. These are both 2.5-inch discharges, although one is gated down or reduced down to 1.5 inches. Underneath, you'll find directional lights, and at the very upper portion, you'll also find additional floodlights. Let's go ahead and move from this location. We'll go around to the passenger side. We'll start with the very rear compartment, LED lighting, adjustable shelving in this compartment. And as we move forward to the front of the vehicle, you'll find two pull-out trays, one in the upper portion and then one in the lower portion. These are them in the full outright extended position. The release mechanism is located on the right. As we move to the compartment just over the rear axle, you'll find a D handle will gain you access to the front side and rear side of the tool board. Just under that, SCBA bottle storage, 3 in the center and 3 to the rear. As we move to the tool board, you'll find at the rear of that, when it's in full deploy mode, you'll need to release the mechanism to return it back to storage position. There is also one additional SCBA bottle storage in front of the axle. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Be careful where you park your vehicle and set safety parameters. As we move to the right in the first compartment over the exhaust area, let's go inside. This is where you're going to find your breaker panel. At the very upper portion is the control module for your generator, and at the very bottom section you'll find the G1, which stands for generator, and the breaker panel for that specific device. We do have a warning label here regarding electrocution hazard. Let's move forward to this location. Same configuration as the opposite side. You have your stabilizer camera, also have the crush injury informational placard, emergency warning light. Just in front of this location is where you'll find your hydraulic sight gauge for your hydraulic fluid. Let's continue to move forward to this location where you'll find inside this compartment your cab lift tilt operations. There is safety information and also instructions for lift and lowering of that device. As we move down, you'll find your tank to pump and tank fill drain and also your aerial drain. Moving forward of this location, this is the pump panel on the passenger side. We'll start in the very upper corner first with some warning information. This is a warning label regarding do not climb on the vehicle. If you do, face the vehicle while climbing. A pressure hazard warning. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And then also an entanglement hazard. Because of the hoses coming from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement. As we move down, the Pierce American Flag Eagle large diameter pump intake. As we move to the right, this is your passenger side large diameter discharge. There are also two 2.5-inch discharges located on this side. And as we move down, this is the aerial inlet outlet down at the very bottom section. As we move toward the center, you'll find your auxiliary inlet on the passenger side. This is a 2.5-inch female ball valve. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's go ahead and move to the rear of the cab area where you'll find a shoreline generator outlet, 20 amp. And as we move inside the cab, this is the passenger side rear door. As we gain access into this location, first let's start with the door panel where it has all of our safety and warning information, grab handle, electric windows, and door latch and lock. As we move to the rear wall, you'll find a fold-down seat. The forward section has a rear-facing SCBA seat. As we move to the front section of the officer space, let's start first with the door panel. All of our safety and warning information affixed to that panel. Also, door lock and latch, and also electric windows and electric door locks. As we move to the A pillar, you'll find the fill location for our windshield wiper fluid. You'll also find the access panel for the electrical. That's directly in front of the officer's position. Down in the lower portion on the floorboard, you'll find the foot pedal for the air horn and also a foot pedal for the mechanical siren. As we move to the left arm of the officer position, you'll find in the engine area 12-volt barrel-style access points and also the vehicle data recording port. Let's go ahead and look overhead from the space of the officer position, where you'll find a push-on and off white or red lens. Also locations for additional modules. In the center module, you'll find your FireComm headset system. And then just underneath that, you'll find the FireComm wireless base station module. General view overhead. Let's now move exterior to the base of the ladder. We'll start with, on the left-hand side, some warning information here regarding crush injury because of the movement of the aerial device. As we move to the pedestal at the very front section, you'll find your intercom, control, and speaker. As we move downward onto the pedestal itself, you'll find an emergency stop, aerial speed. In the upper corner, you'll find your lights and also nozzle control. As we move to the module, you'll find your command zone in the very center, touch screen. As we move downward at the very base, you'll find ladder control, extend, retract, right, left, lower, and raise. This is a 2-position switch. You must lift first before the operation can be activated. As we move to the right underneath the cover, you'll find your ascendant load chart, information per fly, and base section. You'll also find nozzle control and reaction. You'll also find warning and safety information regarding danger and warning placards. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the ladder section here. We're at the base section. Looking forward, there is a 14-foot roof ladder in the interfly. Toward the tip of the ladder, you'll find saw boxes on the left and right side. Just as a reminder, a 25-pound capacity, and then also you must latch before operation. Let's go ahead and move now from this location just forward of the toolboxes, where you'll find an additional storage location. Make sure that this is secured when in operation also. Let's move to the front bucket area, where you'll find first in the upper left-hand corner your emergency stop button. Ladder controls are located directly in the center. Nozzle control also located to the right, along with light information. You do also have a command zone screen located in the very front section of your ladder bucket. As we move downward inside the ladder area, in the bucketed area, you'll find all of our safety and warning information placards. You'll also find the same placard located at the base of the ladder, which is for your 100-foot load chart and also nozzle arrangement configurations. As we move further down on the side, you'll find warning and safety information along with your intercom system, volume control, and speaker. Just underneath that, you'll find when under generated power, these outlets will become active. Let's talk a little bit about the Life Eye. You do have information warning regarding that device and also life support, which is the next placard down. As we move to the upper right, this is going to be your life winch warning information. And then as we move further down, you'll find the life ladder information. Please see your owner's manual for more information about these specific items. General view here of the control module area. Let's look down at the very bottom section where we find the nozzle. Two 2.5-inch discharges. As you can see on the right side, one has been reduced to 1.5 inches. There is a safety bar across the very back section. As we move to the cab area, let's identify a few items. First, this is a non-walking surface within this area, and that's why we have these warning placards in this area. Congratulations, Idaho Falls Fire Department, Idaho, on your new Pierce mid-mount 100-foot aerial device, job number 34897. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.